Let me tell you a story. See, I have this friend. His name is Jesus. And when he first came to earth, he was the topic of discussion. Nobody was not talking about him. He was on everyone's minds, their thoughts, their hearts. And soon I saw why God sent him to set us apart from the rest of the world. See, Jesus was the man who walked on Galilean waters, who pushed his disciples' faith in him even farther by showing them his marvelous miracles. When he saw the blind, he gave them sight. To the adulteress, he withheld his might. When he saw the lepers, they received new skin. He takes the orphans and he takes them in. To the paralyzed, he gave mobility. He blew the minds of every person within his proximity. But there was always those few who called Jesus a heretic when they themselves were just hypocritical Jews. And they had a hatred. And this hatred came with a passion to kill the Son of God, showing that their hearts had no compassion. And then one night, when the Passover festival was near, they arrested Jesus as his disciples ran, trembling in fear. And this news spread fast, and as soon as I heard word that they had taken Jesus, I ran looking for him. I searched every corner of Jerusalem. I checked behind every fence post, behind every tree. After unturning rock after rock, I wondered, where could he be? And then I stopped and listened to the crowd as they screamed out loud the horrendous sound of the words, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" And then I turned and saw my Savior in front of Pontius Pilate as he pondered his mind, for he had to decide between life or death of the divine. And then he finally decided to hand Jesus back over to the Jews, and he continued to be beaten, bloodied, and bruised. 39 times his back was scourged. Upon his head lay a crown of thorns, and then they gave him a cross to bear on his already bloody, battered body. And he continued to carry it all the way up Calvary. And then the crowd grew thicker, and my heartbeat raced even quicker, and I couldn't see him through the crowd, but I heard the clanging of the hammer against the nails driving into his wrist, piercing the flesh of the most righteous one to ever exist. And then I finally made it to the top of the mountain, and I saw him. Jesus, I saw him hung there, while his body was sore, while the blood poured down his face. And then he looked at me and said, "Child, this is what I call grace." And then with a loud voice he cried out, "Elio, Elio, lema sabachthani, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And then the lungs that breathe the breath of life breathed their last. And his soul left the body as he left me, feeling lost and all alone. Then they came to collect his body, but he had not one broken bone. Instead, they pierced his side, as blood and water poured out as fast as the tears from my eyes, as I cried out, "God, why? Why? Why would you take this innocent man's life on a tree? Why would you take my precious holy King from me?" And for the next 3 days I was in constant sorrow, for without him, how could I ever face tomorrow? But I never would have guessed what would have happened next. For on day 3, I realized how truly I am blessed, for I do not have a Savior who just lived, died, and then ended his ministry. No, he rose from the grave. He conquered the cross. Jesus has the victory. Now I know that it takes his life, death, and resurrection for us to be together, for us to be in relationship with him forever. And a life without Christ would simply just lead to aggression and obsession with worldly possession, leaving no soul protection. But he came with a resurrection. He came with redemption. He came with a plan, and it started and began with Jesus' incarnation, which led to my salvation, which is my proclamation of how sin's domination is now an excommunication with God's congregation. So I invite you to join in with the rest of creation, for we are in celebration, for this is Christ's foundation. And it does not matter if you are male, female, tall, short, rich, or poor. He said it himself. He will remember your sin no more, because his love cannot compare to any friend, family, husband, or wife, because only his love turns dead things to life.